Good morning, everybody. It's PJ here. Contest going on. Been playing a little radio this morning, and made quite a few contacts this morning. They're having a contest, they're having a worldwide, and then they're having a European. Made a couple of contacts that I didn't have, but they wasn't doing the worldwide. They were just doing the European. So there's like, I can't take you, just work in Europe. Of course, they didn't say that when they was calling out. Wish they had, because Indonesia would have been a nice one to add to my QRZ page. But anyway, I was just want to talk a little bit this morning. I usually don't do this, because I've seen something where people getting frustrated because they call out and they don't make a contact. And I've made another video not long ago about, not always making a contact or whatever, but it didn't go into detail on a lot of that stuff. And I don't know everything. I haven't been a ham long. 2020. Went through and got my general and then got my extra. It is 2023. I got my equipment. I radio, not all the time, but when I get a chance, I like to sit down and play radio. But I just want to talk about making contact, because sometimes it can be real frustrating, especially like if you've got like a country or a call that you're trying to get that you won't need for whatever reason, or you're trying to get an award or whatever, and you can hear them like this. This guy's pretty strong. I'd say I could probably get him. He's a S9. So let's find somebody else I could probably compare it to. This guy. He's not even moving my meter. So I barely can hear him. I could probably make contact with him. Might be difficult, but I could probably get through. If conditions are right. I think that's what I'm going to talk about, those, because I think what a lot of hams do understand it, and a lot of people don't. You think, like when I first got into it, I thought you just got a radio, threw up an antenna, and you talk anywhere you want, talk to whoever you want. And it just isn't like that. And there's a lot that has to come into play. Propagation, conditions just have to be just right. Sunspot, you have to follow that a little bit. Like today, it's solar flux index of 161, sunspot 119, K index is 0.6, A index is 8. I don't know what all that means. I just know when that thing turns green, it's a lot better than when it's red. I do know that. So like the sun and the atmosphere, everything has a effect on radio. But I might ramble a little bit because I didn't get no cue cards or nothing to talk about this stuff, but just a lot to it. Sorry, my wife walked out and distracted me. But I'd say this hobby is a lot like fishing, and that's probably why I like it so much, because I like camping. You can see all my stuff behind me. I love fishing. I got more fishing stuff on my channel too, with kayak and whatever. So it's definitely a lot like fishing. Hey baby, huh? Yeah. But anyway, sorry, I got distracted again. It's a lot like fishing. Like you can go out one day, have everything you need, throw it out, you can catch all kinds of fish. And you can go out the next day, conditions be the same, and not catch nothing. It's just how it goes. So everything has to line up. Propagation, sunspot, everything affects everything in this hobby. And you can see that little map up there with all the color on it. That's my propagation thing. It's an estimate. It's not, not real time, but you can see where I'm at, which would be, I don't know if you can see that from here. You see the little circle that's out over the North America there, that's me in this area. And this is where the propagation on 15 meters would be supposedly getting to, and then all over here. So you stand a chance of making a contact all over the world. Doesn't mean you're going to. Because like I can hear, because it's pretty good. Let me pull this down here where you can see a little better, maybe a little bigger. Okay, here. So like here. See, I can see like Indonesia and all this area over here, like right over here. Pretty good, and I can hear them. I actually heard them on there, and I talked to Indonesia a little bit. It was which one of them I needed, but they were working European, so I finally got them. And then they're working a contest. Oh yeah. So talking about mad. Oh yeah. But anyway, South America, probably get pretty good propagation down there on 15 meters, and they all change, like just depending on the band and everything. So like I say, I might ramble because I didn't make any kind of. Let's do 20 meters. So I'll change this to 20 meters. Why is my computer going so slow? I probably should have turned everything off under there. Yeah, because that, man, boy, that is going really slow. What happened? Okay. I'm going to generate. So while that's doing that, it'll change. I'm going to do 20 meters. But anyway, the thing what a lot of people don't understand, see how small 20 meters is compared to 15? So 15 is a lot better for DX right now than 20 meters. 20 meters, you might get a lot of stateside, but you might not hear a lot of anything over here. My wife don't know what she's doing. Hold on just a second. Sorry, she's looking for something. But anyway, 20 meters probably won't be as good for DX as 15. So choosing the band. Sometimes the bands are open, sometimes they're closed. What that means is like propagation, sunspot, everything isn't lined up just for that band. Frequencies are, some frequencies go farther than others, some are shorter than others. Don't want to get too technical because I want people to think like, don't get too frustrated if you're calling out somebody and they're not coming back to you, because a lot can take place, and not only propagation, but what people have in their homes, in their area. All of that takes, you have to take into consideration, because like me here, that's somebody talking, but let me move over to a non-frequency. That's my noise floor. It's barely moving my needle. So I have what I would consider almost a zero, even though you're hearing the white noise or static. Of course, there's a lead over station. So I have a relative low noise floor in my area. I live out here in the country. I don't have any line noise. I don't have any of that stuff. Somebody starts a car up under my antenna, that'll change. It'll be like, so like some people where they live at, they might live in the city. They might live in, it's a big area. They don't have like regulations and stuff on their power, especially when you're DXing. I mean, they got just power lines strung up and everything. I'm sure you've seen some of them memes where you got people or the places where power lines and stuff's going everywhere and like that. They probably got all kinds of noise. So their noise floor might be, like an S5 or an S8. I mean, their noise floor, just their static noise floor could be like really high. You don't know. It just depends on where they're at and their station. So you got to take in consideration, you might be getting over there at like an S3. You might be, coming in pretty good for somebody like me who would hear you really good and we could talk. But for them, you're coming over in an S3 and they've got like an S7 noise floor. They're not going to hear you. All they're going to hear is probably somebody who is like right at the top of the noise floor. So like a S6, 7, and then up. They're not going to hear them stations that's down there. Even like here, if I got a weak station, sometimes I'll get noise, depending on what the atmosphere is doing. I'll have like a S2 or S3 noise floor from atmospheric noises or wind blowing across the antenna. All that stuff affects it. And I can hear them, but just barely. So that'd be like a really weak station that normally maybe if I had a zero noise floor, I could probably work it. But like I say, you don't know what their conditions are. Because like I say, if I could be pushing power, I could have a beam antenna, I could have a beam, just a wire. You could be running barefoot. Sometimes, depending on propagation, you can be running QRP 5 watts on just a little wire antenna. You can talk all over the world. And sometimes you can be running an amplifier. I don't have legal limit, but I'm sure if you had a legal limit, there's times you can be running legal limit and still not make that contact. It just depends on a lot of stuff. I think that's what I wish I'd write this stuff down. I just like to talk about it. I don't know if I'll help anybody out or not. Just don't get frustrated, because I did that. There's sometimes I'll be trying to work a station, and I'll sit there and call out. It'll be a station that I want real bad, one I need for my QRZ or something. And I finally get to them where there's nobody calling in, because that's another thing, is pileups. I guess I should have said that, because now you're calling from a certain geographic area to a country that's over here, say across, Europe, or let's do like Japan, for instance, because that's pretty far away, because you can hear Japan sometimes. So you're calling them, you can hear them really good. They might have 100 other people calling them at the same time that they're calling out, and you're way over here, and then most of their people that's calling them is over here in Europe or somewhere right here where propagation is just so much better. These people that's calling them, man, they could be like 10 to 20 over S9 on them, and you're just a little S3 or S4. They're not going to hear you as long as them people's calling. I mean, I know it sucks. I mean, it's like, but you can't hear them. Like you'll hear that station, but you can't hear all the other stations that's calling him, just because your propagation is going to him and not them. Does that make sense? Like, your propagation's working for you to get to hear him and see him, but all these other stations, you can't hear them because their propagation, just like this, isn't working in your favor. They're outside of this little area over here. They're in this clear somewhere. You can't see it, you can't hear them, but they can, because their propagation from this area is going to look totally different than what yours does. So you got to think about that too, because there's a lot of people calling out, and there's some rare DX stations that they're going to have a lot of people calling. Saudi Arabia is one of them that I can't get. I can hear them really good. I had them in there this morning because HZ1TT, Hotel Zulu 1 Tango. Super clear. I had him, it was like a S6, S7, and I never could get to it. My propagation just wasn't strong enough. I think that was on 15 meters at the time to bust through, even with power, to bust through all the other stations that he was getting in Europe. So like Europe was just drowning me out. There was a bunch of people wanting, because see, for me, my propagation through that area looks like this. I mean, this is relative. This doesn't, this is just a guideline. It kind of gives you an idea. So like their propagation for them looks like this in Europe to him, to where mine is right here, more generated around me, and there's there. So like I say, he's probably getting people, at 20 over 9, and I'm coming through it like maybe an S6. I'm just not going to make it through, especially if he's got a bunch of them. And usually stations like that, them rare DX, they have a lot of people calling. So just kind of things to consider and think about when you're doing it. Don't get too frustrated, because I mean, it can be frustrating. You work and try to get your station built up, and you got everything right, and you're like, oh man, I'm going to make some contacts now. And you will, but you're not going to make all of them. There's no way. I've got the Oceania over here. I have 0 contacts in this area. Nothing I have works. Propagation just has not taken me to that area. I've got Australia. I've got New Zealand. I've got Japan. But Oceania and up here in China and Thailand and all this area, I just can't get them. I hear Indonesia in there quite often, but they'll always be really light. China was in this morning, I could barely even hear them. So even though this little thing right here is coming into this area, I can hear them, but they just can't hear me. For one, like I say, propagation is really weak, right here, because they're like a really light signal. But also, they have a lot of people calling them from other areas that their propagation is a lot better than mine, or even just closer to them. I mean, just like Roger. When Roger was on here, he was on the radio a minute ago. I wish you'd have seen this spot, because when he's close to me and when he's on the radio, I can tell. I mean, it's way up there. But, I'd say the time on here, it's getting a little bit long and I'm kind of rambling. But I just want to say, don't get frustrated with it too bad. I mean, because I know you will. Dude. If you like DX, if you like radio, you want to make those contacts. Just keep trying. That's what makes it fun. You might not get them today, but you might get them tomorrow. You might not ever get them. I know Hams has been doing this for decades. That sounds like a lot, decades, but 20, 30 years. And there's contacts that they don't have because they just never got propagation for that area, or things just never worked out. They might have been on when I wasn't, and it might have been time. The more you radio, the more contacts you get. I'm still working on it. Still new to it. A lot of stuff I don't understand. Just have fun with it. I enjoy it. It's fun to make contacts, have key shows, conversations, 5x9 if you want to do that, and just get in and out, or sit and have a conversation with somebody that's in another country. Just have fun with it. That's all I can tell you. Don't get frustrated. But y'all have a good one. I'm gonna get out. Might play a little radio for a little bit, and then I might get up and do something. Don't know. 73, AK4 PJ.